Hi guys, I'm just going to talk about a bit of probably my only really truly scary thing that ever happened since I've been on the road, which is 19 years. There've been little things, but this one stood out from the rest.
In your purple Toyota, the morning is waking slow and the traffic's not moving. There's a gas leak in North Town and they can't seem to fix it up, so they call you.
Anyway, to get started, I want to say that this isn't something that routinely happens in my life, and I think after all these years on the road to have only had one truly scary incident. I mean, I've had hoons outside before and things like that, but this was probably the only time I've ever felt really very, very concerned about what was happening. And it was in the middle of the daytime, so I wasn't expecting it. I was parked up in a rest area we used to stay in at the northern end of Lake Rotorua, the Haramoana Reserve out there. I don't think you're allowed to even stay there now, but it was really nice. It was the middle of the day, but I had some laundry on one of those round things hanging up outside. I had a power cord out because I'd used my generator to do some printing, and it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and a ute pulled in. And a guy, I had the door closed because it was quite windy, and a guy knocked on my door and offered to swap a smoke, which I assume he meant marijuana, for a glass of water. But he kept looking past me, trying to see into my truck, and I didn't like it. Like, normally I'd give anybody a glass of water. I didn't want the smoke. I'm not really into that. But normally I'd be quite happy to give someone a glass of water, but something just wasn't right about him. So I said, "Oh no, mate, not interested," and closed the door. So he walked back to his ute, and then he came back to my truck and started walking around it, and around it. And I was thinking, this is a bit weird. So I slid the cat door, which is on my door here, shut, because luckily the cat was inside, because I didn't want him to be able to get hold of her. And he was sniffing the truck. I could hear him outside going, and I was thinking, oh boy, this is pretty weird. And my biggest concern was my door lock wasn't working. Like, the door was pulled shut, but to get the lock to catch in properly at that point, you had to really slam the door. I fixed it straight after, but I was sort of pretending my door was locked, but it wasn't. I was thinking, oh my God, what do I do? And, you know, I can't get through to my cab in this truck. So I was sort of in here going, what do I do? So brilliantly, what was the first thing I did was ring a friend in Auckland. God knows why. And he actually rang the police. And they contacted me, and I had this inanely long conversation with the police while this guy was walking around my truck, and he was muttering things like, "It's all over for you now, girlie. I've got an axe in my ute," and all of this sort of stuff. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what do I do, you know? So I'm talking to the police, and I'm trying to tell them where I am, and I told them exactly where it was, and she was like, "No, I need an official road address, a number and a proper address." And I'm like, well, I'm in a reserve and I'm over home. It doesn't have a number. But if you put me through to the Rotorua police, they will know exactly where I am. But she wouldn't do that. So we kept talking, and this guy kept wandering around, and I told them his rego number because I could see his ute out of the window, and they said, no, that rego number is not registered to a red ute. So great, he had fake plates too. Which made me feel even better. And yeah, so Anyway, I keep talking to this woman, and a car pulls in, a four-wheel drive ute thing, and two older guys get out with fishing gear. They're off to go trout fishing, I suppose. And I'm sort of thinking, oh, thank God, people. So this weird guy goes trotting off after them, telling them that he lives in this truck, that this is his, and all of this stuff. I could hear him. But in the meantime, while he walked away and walked over to the lake to talk to these guys, I grabbed all my stuff from outside, chucked the steps on the back, jumped in the cab and locked the doors. And I'd locked this one too, and started the motor. So he turned around and came back and walked back and stood in front of me. And at that point in time, I've still got this police woman on the phone. And I would have run that guy over, I think, if he'd seriously tried to stop me, because I was just over it. And so anyway, I talked to this policewoman and said, look, I'm going to go, actually. I'm just going to leave this place. I'm in my cab. I'm started up. I'm going, and hung up on her. This was after talking to her for 20 minutes, and they still couldn't put me in touch with the Rotorua station, which could have sent somebody out, because they would have known where that rest area was. It was really unhelpful. And I put the truck in gear and very, very slowly nosed forward. And the guy got out of my way, which was all good. So yeah, anyway, my heart was beating like crazy, and I'm driving out, and I decided to go into Rotorua, where friends of mine I travelled with the Tinkers and Traders. I knew they were all parked up by the BMX track, so I thought I'll go there. And that guy got into his ute and followed me all the way to the village down the road, and then he veered off somewhere. But anyway, yeah, so that shook me up quite a bit. I never ever heard back from the police. They had my phone number. They never rang me to see if everything was okay. Nothing. And yeah, so I parked up with friends and felt much better then. Stayed there, but honestly, that is the one scariest moment I ever had. And yes, it would be good to have a call through to my cab. It is a little bit hard to organise because of how the back of my cab is and how much storage is in there. But at that point in time, I would have destroyed my steps, my power cord, and everything else. And look, if I'm totally fearing for my life, yes, I wouldn't care about that. But yeah, luckily it was those two guys turned up to go trout fishing. If it hadn't been for them, I don't know what I would have done. I should have really tried to ring the Rotorua police and actually just hung up on that woman in Auckland and disconnected that call instead of continuing to talk to this person who wasn't doing anything, and just got the number for Rotorua, and they would have had somebody out there quite quickly. But the fact that this guy had fake plates, I think he was off his trolley on methamphetamine or something. His eyes looked like, when he first came up and asked for the glass of water, his eyes were like really weird. And that was all pretty new then. I mean, this is probably 8 years ago, so I didn't really know much about that, but he was something else. And I've had minor incidents, other little upsets here and there where I've been a little bit worried, but generally it's always been okay. But after that, because it really did shake me up a bit, I actually spoke to a friend of mine about it, whose son is in the police force, and he actually said that if you've got a real situation and you're really worried and you're not getting anything sorted, actually call the fire brigade. They will come. Yes, you may get into trouble for telling them it's a fire, but if you seriously need help, apparently they are faster to get there. And I think it's true, because I had an incident one night up Spa Road in Taupo where the police had been up in the daytime and asked me if I'd seen the person that belonged to an abandoned car further down. And I said, no, but I'll keep an eye out. And they gave me the phone number of the local station. So just after dark that night, this two carloads of teenagers turned up and just started smashing this car up with sticks and rocks, and they were screaming and smashing this little car. So I thought, oh well, I'll ring the police, and tell them what's happening. And they told me that I had to ring the main number, and blah blah blah. So I did that, and when it asked me fire, ambulance, or police, actually that car went up in flames. Those kids had set fire to it, so I just hit fire and bombed the fire brigade within 5 minutes. It was brilliant. And yes, I had a good reason that time to hit fire, because it was a fire and I was close to a big forest area. So yeah, but the fire brigade was certainly fast and on the ball, and it happened really, really well. So anyway, it was a little bit of an interesting situation. The funniest one I ever had was actually with the police officer was at Mana at Ngāti Taua Domain, and I'd just come across on the ferry, and my cat was outside in the evening and was being harassed by a stray cat. So I went out in my nightshirt, because there was no one down where I was, and just went to scare this cat away so I could grab mine, and a police car pulls up. And this guy says, "Are you okay, madam? What are you doing?" So I said, "Look, sorry, but yeah, I'm just trying to scare this cat away so I can grab mine." So this fully uniformed, gallant police officer went running after this stray cat to chase it away from me. Now that was pretty cool. But anyway, so I still think that in all the years I've been on the road here in New Zealand, it's a long time to have only had one truly terrifying moment is not bad going. It means that we're not running into stuff like that all the time. Now I've gotten a bit older, I guess I do like places with a gate more. I just sleep better. I find I sleep deeper. If I'm parked somewhere where I don't know what's going to happen, and there's been hoons and things like that, yeah, you sort of keep an ear out. Whereas if I'm somewhere with a gate and a few other people around, yeah, I do tend to sleep deeper and better. So I tend to prefer that most of the time now. And yeah, that is something that's come with age, not because I'm terrified to stay anywhere else, but I actually just really treasure sleeping well. That's a good thing. So yeah, I mean, I have experienced things at night with fairs, with the different fairs I've travelled with, and you're in public parks in the middle of towns, and you get drunks and silly people walking through at night. But generally that's not aggressive, they're just noisy and annoying. So yeah, you put up with it then, but if you don't have to, why would you? So yeah, anyway, so that's my little story time, which came about because I actually don't want to wander around outside in this weather with my camera. Tomorrow I'm probably going to leave, hopefully, if my mail is in Te Puke, and carry on to my next destination, which I actually really haven't decided whether I'm going inland or up the coast. So anyway, comment below if you've had any crazy experiences, and also how much help, if you have had something drastic happen, you've actually had from the authorities. That's quite interesting, because I was quite horrified at how I just couldn't get any sense of the police when I had somebody going on about an axe with a fake number plate, and they wouldn't actually put me in touch with the Rotorua police station to be able to tell them where I was to send me any help. It just wasn't a happening thing. So yeah, that did concern me a bit. I actually had somebody offer me a firearm, which I wouldn't be comfortable carting around in here. So no. But yeah, so if you've had any experiences like that, I'd like to know about it, and also, you know, what you did to get yourself out of there. I mean, what caught me, if this had happened at night, I wouldn't have had all that stuff lying around outside, and I wouldn't have had the door unlocked, and yeah, but 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you just don't expect something like that to happen, I guess. But yeah. Anyway, lots of love, and I'll see you all in my next video.